The war room of the Eldorian flagship Eternal Dominion hummed with nervous energy as Commander Kiara strode through the blast doors, her boots echoing against the polished deck. Around her, holographic displays flickered with data streams that should have been impossible. "Report," she commanded, her voice cutting through the murmurs of confused technicians. Lieutenant William looked up from his console, his face pale. "Ma'am, you need to see this yourself. The human fleet just entered the Zarian system." Kiara moved to the central display where a three-dimensional representation of local space materialized before her eyes. What she saw made her blood run cold. 17 human warships hung in the void, each one defying every principle of combat engineering the Eldorian Empire had perfected over 3,000 years. That's not possible," she whispered. The largest vessel, which the humans had designated UHNS Indomitable, measured over 4 kilometers in length. But it wasn't the size that shocked her. The Eldorian Empire had built larger. It was the impossible configuration. The ship appeared to be rotating in 3 different directions simultaneously, its hull sections moving independently while maintaining structural integrity. Energy readings spiked across the spectrum in patterns that violated the fundamental laws of physics as the Eldorians understood them. William zoomed in on the vessel's weapon systems. "Ma'am, our sensors detect at least 47 different weapon types." 47? We've cataloged and categorized every known weapon system in the galaxy. These humans have developed technologies we've never even theorized. Kiara leaned closer to the display. The ship's hull rippled like liquid metal, sections phasing in and out of normal space-time. "Are they using quantum fold technology?" "That's what we thought at first," William replied, pulling up comparative analysis data. "But it's something else entirely. They're not folding space. They're creating localized gravity wells and manipulating them independently across the ship's surface. Each hull section exists in its own gravitational reference frame." The implications crashed over Kiara like a tidal wave. The Eldorian Empire had spent centuries trying to weaponize controlled gravity manipulation. The calculations required were so complex that even their most advanced artificial intelligences could barely manage a single gravity well without catastrophic system failures. Yet here were the humans, barely 2 centuries into their space age, juggling dozens simultaneously. "How long have humans been in space?" Kiara asked, though she already knew the answer. 193 standard years since their first orbital flight," William confirmed. The Eldorian Empire had been exploring space for over 1,500 years, before we developed our first gravity assist drive. They've done it in less than 2 centuries. A priority communication signal flashed across Kiara's command tablet. She opened it to find an encrypted message from the Eldorian High Command. As she read, her expression darkened. "They want us to engage?" she said incredulously. William's eyes widened. "Ma'am, with all due respect, that would be suicide. We don't understand their defensive capabilities. For all we know, those gravity wells could redirect our plasma torpedoes back at us, or—" "I'm aware, Lieutenant." Kiara turned back to the display, studying the human formation. They weren't arranged in any recognizable battle pattern. Instead, they drifted in what appeared to be a loose cluster, almost casual in their positioning. It was either supreme confidence or a trap. Probably both. "Incoming transmission," the communications officer announced. "It's from the human flagship. Audio and visual. Put it through." The holographic display shimmered and resolved into the image of a human male, relatively young by their species standards, with graying hair at his temples. He wore a simple uniform bearing symbols that Kiara's translator identified as representing the United Human Naval Service. "This is Admiral Chen of the UHNS Indomitable," the human said in flawless Eldorian, his translator evidently as sophisticated as their weapons. "We've detected your fleet's approach and your tactical scans of our vessels. We mean you no harm, but we will defend ourselves if necessary." Kiara straightened. "I am Commander Kiara of the Eldorian Imperial Fleet. Your ships, they violate established engineering principles." "How is this possible?" Admiral Chen smiled, and there was something predatory in it. "Commander, humans have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. When your empire blockaded our colonies and demanded our submission, you forced us to innovate. We couldn't match your numbers, so we had to exceed your capabilities. In less than 2 centuries, Kiara couldn't keep the disbelief from her voice. "Humanity has always excelled under pressure," Chen replied. "You've studied our history, I'm sure. We've fought countless wars among ourselves, pushed the boundaries of science, and refused to accept limitations. When you told us these ships were impossible to build, you gave us a blueprint for exactly what we needed to create. William pulled up a new data stream. Ma'am, the other human vessels are powering up. Energy signatures are climbing exponentially. On the display, the 17 human warships began to pulse with light. The gravity wells surrounding them intensified, and space itself seemed to warp and bend around their hulls. The Indomitable released a swarm of smaller craft, thousands of them, each moving with impossible precision through the gravitational chaos. Those are autonomous combat drones, William reported, each one carrying enough firepower to disable one of our destroyers. Admiral Chen's expression remained calm. Commander Kiara, I'm transmitting coordinates for a diplomatic meeting. The United Human Confederation wishes to negotiate peace. But understand this, if the Aldorian Empire chooses war, you will not win. We've spent 2 centuries preparing for this moment. Every simulation, every calculation, every innovation has been directed toward one goal: ensuring humanity's survival and freedom. Kiara looked at the impossible ships, at the swarms of drones moving through twisted space-time, at the energy readings that redefined what she thought was achievable. She thought of the Aldorian Empire's 3,000 years of dominance, of the hundreds of species that had submitted to their rule, and she thought of humanity, the species that had been told something was impossible and had taken it as a challenge. Admiral Chen, she said slowly, I will relay your coordinates to High Command. I believe negotiations are in everyone's best interest. As the transmission ended, William leaned closer to Kiara. Do you think they'll listen? Kiara watched the human warships maintain their impossible configuration, defying physics and probability with equal ease. They'd better, she said quietly, because I don't think we can stop them. In the void of space, humanity's impossible fleet waited, a testament to ingenuity, determination, and the refusal to accept defeat. The Galactic Empire had panicked at the thought of what humans could build. They had every right to be afraid.